What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Learn Plan Profit. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day. Let's go ahead and get right to it. I'm going to start sharing my screen so you guys can see this. And actually, the chat is almost at the perfect spot where I can just go like that. All right. I think you should be able to see everything pretty clearly. Hope you guys are all having a good day. So today's Friday. So today I'm going live 1 hour after the market opens. For those that can't always tune in at market open, because I know there is a small group of people that do have that issue. So thank you again for tuning in right now. And let's go ahead and kind of get right to it. So I want to first talk about stocks that are actively trending up. And then after that, I'm going to be talking about ones that I'm actually looking at taking day trade positions. And also following up with one of my positions that I went in yesterday, I'm actually down on it today. So I'm going to show you guys very quickly. It's with LABD. I took a position yesterday, and altogether I'm down about $100. I was down about $150, and 100%, I mean, I still feel like the pattern myself is still relevant with LABD. It's just experiencing a little bit of a pullback. If I see it continue to descend, more than likely I will have to end up cutting losses due to the break of pattern. But I wanted to give it some time for it to consolidate, so I just wanted to show you guys how it is that my current position on LABD is going. One that I see a lot of value in, that I see that is actively trending up, is BNED. So we talked about this one about 3 days ago, if you guys remember, and it's this descending resistance. So let's make sure we take that into consideration with this horizontal support, right? We saw that it crossed above the EMA, and it's hitting a resistance right around 650. So that's why I have my alert set right here. What I'm looking for here is for it to break highs. And once it breaks highs, it will give me that understanding that it's, well, I would like to follow up with it at that point to see if it actually has the momentum to continue to push up to cover this range leading up to even about $7, right? It's about 7 to 8% that I see that BNED has the potential to cover. Do I really think that, it has to end up hitting the resistance? No, even if it ends up hitting the SMA indicator, that's still about 5%. So that's still something that I find still to be pretty attractive. So yeah, 100%. So I was following up with the drip this morning, and I did see that push that it had. Now looking at the 1 day, 1 minute chart, there was no signs of a reversal. A lot of people have been bringing it up since overall with /CL. We are seeing that for the first time ever on this 180-day chart, this reversal pattern. It didn't even catch at the SMA indicator. That's what really surprised me. I thought just due to its really strong pattern that I was like, okay, that's when I thought it hit highs of like about 68 or 67. And then it ended up reversing back, but then catching at the support. Watch out for this potential reversal at the SMA. If you see it catch, I'm going to set my alert just so I can send out the reminder. But as of right now, no signs of any form of support. And if you look at Gush itself, another huge sell-off, right? And again, getting a little bit closer to this overall support. Let's make sure that we take that into consideration before, hold it for a longer period of time. But I want to congratulate to all those that were able to take, overall a position on drip. Even within the past couple of minutes, I saw it really starting to consolidate at around $7.40. And from $7.40 to where it's at right now, that's still about 3%. And that's in the past 30 minutes, right? So if you see value in something, even as a day trade, right? If you still don't trust drip as a swing trade, 100%, I agree with you, right? But if you can trust it, if you do see value in it and its pattern as a day trade, set up a plan. Set up on a pullback confirmation, whatever it is that you see value in, on a break of highs of day, whatever it is that you see value in it, just because it has been actively trending up. So we want to make sure that we take that into consideration before just pushing it to the side. If you completely don't want to touch it, I completely understand. So I bought it at 733, says Dylan. 733, that's really good. That's right around the middle VWAP, so it makes sense there. And you're up about 4% so far today. So congratulations, that's huge. 4% is people's weekly goal. So let's not minimize that. So I want to congratulate all those that saw value in that. My goodness, you guys bought below 732. Wow, you guys are killing it. This is one that I wanted to follow up with. So on this 180-day analysis, I did see that JNUG pushed up pretty aggressively, and it really hit a wall, right? Really hit a resistance right around $15. It's pulling back right now. And again, look at /GC. With /GC, even this pullback that it's having, it's still actively trending up above this 180-day EMA. One thing that we can see here is that it had a really strong support right around 1320 with, which can act as a really strong resistance. Watch out for this pattern. Look, and you guys can see this, right? Do you see how it tried to push up and then it got rejected? Watch this SMA indicator, right? Acting as a resistance. It sold off, trying to push up again. Again, as of right now, it's making lower lows, right? Lower highs, I apologize. So it does have some form of potential for it to get rejected right around this price point and to continue to descend. It does not mean 100% that this is what has to happen, but it just means that based on previous patterns, it would make sense on then why it would get rejected and then continue this descending pattern. Do you guys see that? Do you guys see that pattern, right? For this thing to sell off down here and then curl back up and then get rejected again. What I'm gonna do to see if it breaks that pattern and if it starts making newer highs is if it breaks above 1310, even if it breaks above and starts making newer highs, I want to be alerted so I can take action quickly or just revisit the stock quickly. DGAS is recovering quite quickly. So I did see that DGAS sold off. I thought it was going to bounce right when it had this sell-off at around 2180. Ended up selling off a little bit quicker. Broke above the EMA, broke above the middle VWAP. This would have been the ideal purchase in my eyes, right? Above EMA, above middle VWAP. And as of right now, I probably would have sold closer to around 2230. Right now it's pushing closer to 2240, right? And as you can see, yesterday had a pretty solid resistance right around that price point. So it would make sense on why that would be an ideal sell. Does that make sense? So how is it that as a day trade, I could determine, again, just sharing my thought process, where would be a good price to exit? Yes, DGAS, again, like having it in mind, don't be greedy, right? Like DGAS, yeah, it can shoot up to $26, right? For whatever the case may be. But in reality, let's look at relevant patterns. And with that understanding, look at yesterday's resistance. Look at yesterday's patterns. You can simply look at yesterday's patterns, and this is something that you can go based off of. Look at the resistance that it had all day yesterday. That is a relevant pattern, right? So as it tries to recover and it's making up all this margin, right? It would make sense on why it would get rejected at around 2240. It would make sense on why you would want to cover at around that price point. Does it mean 100% that it can go beyond that price point? No, it does not mean that. It just means that it would make sense. That there's a reason behind that sell. And if it continues to push up and you see no signs of a rejection, then you can always get back in. People's hardest, people find it very difficult to understand where to buy and where to sell because they don't understand why. What you have to look for are reasons behind your entry and reasons behind your exit. So why would it have made sense looking at pre-market lows, right around right here, right around 2180? Holy moly, LABD pushed up. I'm green. Yay. Okay. But it would make sense on why people would see value for a support at 2180, right? Because of the pre-market supports. And it would make sense on why people would see a resistance anywhere from around 2230 due to pre-market resistance and a resistance right around 2240. That makes sense. So what is it that we could have waited for, right? Very simple. We wait for the break above the EMA after the pullback, so we let it consolidate, we let it do its thing, and wait for the break above the middle VWAP because we want it to be actively trending up intraday. And then from middle VWAP to the 2240, we ask ourselves, is that margin, even from 2230, because that was much more realistic, is that margin worth it for a day trade? About 2%. That's something that you have to justify yourself. Does it make sense or does it not? And if it doesn't, then you don't have to take that position. If it does, then great. So I want you guys to have a much better understanding, especially as day trades. I feel like our group is pretty well versed with swing trades. We understand now what to look for. But a lot of people are having issues understanding where to buy and where to sell with day trades because they don't understand why it is that they're entering or exiting. There should be a reason for everything it is that you do. And if there's not, then you probably should not be taking that position. Does that make sense? Holy moly, guys. I have a runny nose. Give me one quick second. All right, give me 1 second. There we go. There was an alert that went off, didn't it? Oh, there we go. Oh, it pushed above 20. All right. $81. Ricky's nose is drip. Guys, I felt so bad yesterday. Holy moly. I haven't felt sick in a while. I like to say that I can't say that I'm pretty healthy. I just have a pretty strong immune system. And I don't normally get sick. And man, yesterday did I feel sick, and I don't know. I suck at taking care of myself. It took me forever to go grab orange juice and all this stuff. You guys, I want to thank you guys again for all those that reached out to me and that suggested, like, to buy like oatmeal and to certain vitamins and stuff like that to take. Like I'm pretty well versed with like everything it is that I do when it comes down to investing. But yeah, definitely for like taking care of myself, area of opportunity for sure. So I really want to thank you guys again for treating me like family when it comes down to that. So again, watch out for, there might be a breakout right now for DGAS. So that's something that I want to keep a close eye out for. Holy moly! $189. What the heck? Okay. So I have 900 shares. It would make sense. There we go. DGAS just broke the resistance. There we go. 207 on the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my sell order ready. Okay, so there should be a reason for everything that is that I do. Correct? Right? So I'm going to do... I'm just going to put at 29.40. The 29.40 doesn't really mean anything right now. It's just I just want a limit order that I can drag and drop, right? So right now I'm up to 282. It keeps going up, right? I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to do a 2-day, 5-minute analysis. And as this thing is pushing up, as it gets closer to 29.20, we can see that that was a previous resistance. As it gets closer to 29.40, that's a more, a higher resistance. So let's go ahead and keep a close eye out on this. Let's see. The thing with this is that this thing is looking way overextended. So this push that it's having, I can't say that it's very, very consistent. So it makes sense on why to cover at around 29.20. That's a very conservative resistance as it's pushing up. Or if I want to be a little bit more risky, to cover closer to 29.40, right? You look strong like bull. Oh, you cracked me up. All right, so let's see if we can break highs of day here. And I do apologize. DGAS is also pushing up right now. So DGAS just did break its resistance again. It is looking a little bit overextended with the RSI. So let's make sure that we take that into consideration. Let's see. So I had LABD and sold at the lowest point today. So can I ask you, Andres, what made you feel like you needed to sell today? I really want to know that. So we can see that there's some form of consolidation happening right now. We can see that the RSI is starting to push down a little bit. And also the MACD is starting to flatline, right? So am I going to get a confirmation that it's going to push down and then I can cover profits? I can just drag and click and I can turn on my level 2 so I can see where the buyers and where the sellers are at. There's a pretty big spread. So let's make sure that we understand that. What I mean by that is there's buyers at 29.04 and sellers at 29 08. There's like a gap between the bid and the ask. That's what I mean by spread. No day trades today. Yeah. Yeah, and this is not a day trade. I bought this one yesterday just to let you guys know. Natural gas just broke below. That means that DS should be shooting up. Natural gas broke below a support that I identified in the morning or during extended hours. And that was this support. Do you guys see all this consolidation that it had? It wouldn't break below, there we go, 2925, right? It would struggle to break below that. It just broke below that. So it's showing a little bit of a pullback, right? And it makes sense on why DGAS is offering, that potential. It's covered a good margin today. It says 1.55% on the day. That's irrelevant to us, right? That's irrelevant to us. The reason why is because of the reversal, the dip that it had here. Like if you weren't holding this, like this is irrelevant how much it went up today. There it goes. This thing's pushing up. Holy moly. There we go. There's a pullback that's going on. I'm actually thinking about exiting now just due to this. Let's see. Because there is no break of pattern. So do you guys see this? There's no break of pattern. It's still actively trending up above the EMA. It's just that I don't want to give it, all this time to gap back down to the EMA line and then continue to push down and stuff like that. That's the whole idea behind that. So there it goes, another push up. So I thought it was going downhill. Not a good day for me. So Andres, again, talking back about LABD, can I ask you where did you buy? I sold LABD at $29.10, made $486 this morning. Austin, you are killing it. Holy moly. Congrats, my man. Correct. Trailing stop losses are more for like it's obviously more ideal if you're watching it, right? If you're watching it and you can, stop loss, like right when there's a break of pattern, that's always going to be more accurate. A trailing stop loss is more for those that maybe might be a little bit too busy, that can't, actively watch whatever it is that they are trading. So therefore, it's always best to have, at least an exit strategy. There we go. All right. I just wanted to exit and watch it shoot up when I exit. That'd be hilarious. So $234, not bad. For something that I wasn't watching very actively. So 28.80. So your average price, did you see? Your average price was about 1 cent less than mine. And the reason that I ask you, so where is it that you cut losses? And I want to make sure that we cover this. The reason why is because I understand why it is that you possibly cut losses due to, it's selling off and stuff like that, and maybe the opportunity cost wasn't worth it. The reason that I still saw value in this was, again, because I tried to understand its pattern. And even if you do a 5-day, if you do a 10-day analysis, we could see, the 5-day analysis would be a little bit more accurate, right? We could see the low points, right? All the way down here, the low points hit an overall support usually at around 28.80, 28.25, right around this price point, right? And it makes sense on why this was a support because it was also an old resistance. And of course it goes up after I sell, right? But it makes sense on why it was, actively trading down. Even then, it didn't even scare me. The reason why is I was in, let's say at 28.80, I was at 28.81 to be exact. Even with that, right, my dollar at risk was about 2%. That's not a very large percentage to be down, especially for something that offers a larger upside potential. Does that make sense? So looking at this 180-day analysis, looking at all this margin that it has to cover, right? A 2% loss for a 20% return, like thinking about the opportunity cost, it almost makes sense. But if you did not feel comfortable trading, 100% I understand. And it's just that. It means that it was consolidated. It took a little bit longer than expected, and I 100% understand the frustration in that. But you should have at least an understanding before you take a position on, again, where would you exit and why, and does that make sense? So I don't know if if you're a stop loss at 28.32, and that was nearly at the bottom. You're right. If that support, and we've talked about this multiple times before, to understand when to cut losses so you don't sell at the very bottom right before it reverses. There should be a break of pattern or some form of extreme bleeding that you see that there's okay, there's no way that this thing is going to recover, or the opportunity cost just is not worth it. And just keeping it that simple, I think it would have made sense. Like again, if you had no dollar value at risk and you're just focusing on the pattern, it would make sense on why it would bounce at around this area, right? And it would make sense on why it would peak out. This thing can go up to 29.40, and I know that. And it has this margin, right? So with that understanding, again, no dollar at risk, focusing on the pattern, you need to make sure that you make these decisions on entries, exits, and stop loss all in your mind before you actually take your position. So if you experience a pullback, that you don't get emotional and that you don't end up having to cut losses at the very bottom without having the real understanding of, is it actually breaking a pattern or is it simply just pulling back? And trust me, Andres, I've been there so many times. I've cut losses so many times at the very bottom, and then it just, shoots right back up. And I can understand the frustration behind that, and that's why I'm dedicating so much time to talk about it, because I want you to understand that I've been there, and I'm happy to hear that you're able to cut losses, because that's still something that some people struggle with, like myself, right? I've struggled with that. So I just want to remind you that it's not a bad idea just to, again, keep all emotions aside and then focus on the pattern. I'm always here to assist, and I know sometimes if you message me, I might not respond right away, but I just want to remind you that I am, a resource that you can use, as well as all the different members that we have within the group. You don't have to ask them where to cut losses, nothing like that. Just ask them, does my plan make sense? Does it make sense on why I want to cut losses at this price point, or does anyone else see anything different? Very simple, right? This thing is about to break 29.10. This dingleberry, my goodness. All right, So we got Diaz pulling back, and it looks like it's starting to push right back up again. Is this margin worth it for a day trade? Let's look at natural gas. I don't know. Dingleberry. LABD just broke the resistance. Okay. So for something like DGAS, I think that's your question, right? So for something like DGAS, how do you identify a good entry? So I talked about this in the course as well. How do you identify a good entry when something doesn't pull back to, like, let's say the middle view up? And we've talked about this multiple times before. So first of all, you have to try to understand the ascendant uptrend pattern, right? So it's going to pull back to a certain extent. There's one of two things that you could do. You could wait for the break of high. So let's focus on this, right? Let's say that none of this happened over here and it's just doing this, right? So it hit a resistance right around 2210. It consolidates, it pulls back. So that could be a potential entry, right? On this EMA line, because you can see that it's been hugging that EMA line. Or if you feel more comfortable waiting for a full-on confirmation, then what you can do is you can wait till it breaks above 2210, making highs of day, right? And then continuing that rally up. So if you think that it has a lot of momentum, then waiting for the highs of day and waiting for the the push right back up, or waiting for it to break and make new highs and making higher highs, then it would make sense on then why you would want to focus on the pattern of setting your alert at where the previous resistance was at, waiting for it to break that, and see if the volume is still there, and then you could enter on that position. Does that make sense? You sound better today. More vitamin C. I agree. But hold up. I need to blow my nose. So. All right, let's see. Again, I don't want to force an entry on this. Whoa, all right, curling pattern on LABD. Curling pattern on LABD, showing signs of a sell signal. MACD indicator, right? RSI all pointing right back down. This is where it would be time to exit, in my opinion. So, well, I just explained a different pattern on JNUG. So Wing might fall into that, but JNUG might not. And the reason why is that we talked about this like 180-day analysis, right? I'm sorry, we talked about the pattern on /GC, not on JNUG, which is in correlation to JNUG itself. And it's this descending pattern, right, where it gets rejected by this descending resistance, mainly this SMA line, right? And it would make sense on why then it would, sell off just like it did before, and sell off just like it did before, and then make lower lows, and then come back up and maybe hit highs of 1290 or something like that. Does that make sense? And then if you look also like on JNUG itself, and you look at even this 180-day analysis, like I don't have to zoom in too much, you can see that it did end up really consolidating at $15, and then it really did pull back. And that tends to be a price point where it normally does consolidate at. So it can make sense on why that is a resistance. So, yeah. $100%. So Jason, I think that's an amazing that's amazing that you brought that up. And there's just a bad experience, and I'm here speaking to you guys because I had a bad experience with drip, but I've been doing it for such a long period of time that it didn't really affect me, right? I mean, I lost a little bit over $2,000 on DRIP. You guys all remember that, right? So, and the dollar value, just like, I just try to like wipe it out of my head, and I just try to focus on the principle of what I did wrong. And I know that it's a lot easier said than done, but I'm just telling you that based on experience, don't let one stock or ETF, don't let one trade discourage you for the rest of your trading career. And that is why I encourage so many people when they're first getting started to start simulation trading, because I know the mistakes that are going to be made a lot, right? And what I want to remind you is that what is it that we could have done to have avoided that extreme bleeding with drip? Not investing in a descending pattern, and understanding that when there is a break of pattern, to simply cut losses. So now that we understand those two factors, we do have the possibility to never make that mistake again. Does that make sense? So, all right, guys, hold up real quick. Do you guys see this? Bounce at 22.30, breaking right back above the EMA line, and then looking at /NG, if I'm not mistaken, showing signs of a potential downward pattern. I'm going to wait for the confirmation right here, but I think we might be getting it soon. So, but I just want to remind you, because I know there's so many people that took, a potential loss on drip, some way or another. And I don't want you to be discouraged by just one simple stock itself. Sweet. Jack can rap. What's going on, my man? Guys, I don't know if you guys remember that song that someone made about me when it comes down to, it actually just says, like, I think it uses like a Mac Miller like back song or something like that, or beat, but it's actually Jack and Rap. So really happy to have you as part of the Learn, Play, and Profit group. 100%. 100%. What's up? What's up? What's going on, Don? And then also, just to give you guys some 2 cents based on like real experience, my little sister with her Robinhood account took a position on drip, and it wasn't necessarily because of her bag holding. It was to an extent, but it was also because she was so busy with school that she forgot about her account. And again, this is why you need to be really focused. It ended up, there we go. Shoot. Not gonna get it. Yeah, but it was because of her because of that trade alone that it discouraged her a little bit. And it happens 100%, but it's just the realization that that's why you should really keep a very close eye on, not necessarily, I want to say, the idea of a stop loss, but when there's a break of pattern, to just realize that, hey, it's not even worth holding anymore. Just think about the big picture. Yes, it sucks that maybe you lost 5, even 10%, right? 5 or even 10%, but thinking about it big picture, it makes much more sense to, simply cut losses, and just to realize that, hey, I was investing in a pattern that was, bleeding. I thought that I was going to be able to buy at the bottom and sell at the top and, catch it when it was about to reverse, but that's not always necessarily the case. And it does suck, but again, big picture, it's a small loss, it's a small price to pay just to do it quick. I really like DS today. I'm sure you do. It almost covered 4% today. Dylan, what's going on? Dylan Snyder. MACD bars curving back in. I like that. RSI reversing back up. I like that. And then not only did I wait for the bounce, but I waited for a break of resistance, which is at 22.40. And then the break above the EMA. and then we're trading in between the middle and top VWAP, right? The margin of profit is not huge, but it might be worth it as a day trade, as it can, oh, there we go. 100%. DGAS as a day trade? Yes, as a day trade. So I'm just going to set my alerts. Oh. All right. Of course. SFI. Sweet. What do you guys think about that? Adding another channel in the Learn Plan Profit group chat, talking about mistakes. 100%, I agree. Hopefully, TMOS figures itself out. I agree with that. That's funny. I'd be the biggest user of that channel. You guys crack me up. Yes, for the mistakes channel. Yes, please. Okay. So mistake channel, profits, morning live chat, trade ideas, because I want all your guys' things to be like there, and then these are just mine that I can post in. And then options. All right. There we go. Will you be watching the FIFA World Cup this summer? I'll probably watch a game or two. I'm not a huge sports guy. I was gonna say I used to be, but no, I was just gonna try to make myself sound cooler. No, I probably won't be. Maybe if like my roommates are watching it and stuff like that, I'll watch it. But I'm not a huge like sports fan. What do you think about entering Diaz as a swing trade? I think Diaz would really need to push up and break above $23 today. Fully, again, not get rejected by this EMA. And even then, it's because it has pushed above the EMA line before, and then it just gets rejected. I would need the direction of the EMA line to change. And I don't think that it has the potential to do that all today. Looking at /NG, does it have potential for a sell-off? 100%, but again, it's very close to the support here. So it would almost make sense. Like one of two things can happen right now with /NG. And it's the understanding of either it bouncing on this EMA line and continue to actively trend up, which is what it's been doing, or get rejected and start to descend and then start to bounce at around, close to or near to the SMA indicator. The MACD is not in its favor. The RSI is not in its favor. But as of right now, I mean, that doesn't really matter because the overall, support, the bodies of the candle are still holding way above this EMA line. So there would be a lot that would need to change, and even then, I would probably still cover a majority of my position, and I would probably maybe like $5,000, which is 1/4 of my position, invested in DGAS, and it just wouldn't make sense for me, because even then the opportunity cost isn't worth it. 100%. I'm actually super pumped for that. The only sport Ricky likes is competing in the Trade Olympics. Yes, hilarious. That's hilarious. So right now, even TMUS right now, and I'm someone that's invested in TMUS, it's not one that's active, like it was one that was actively trending up, but it's been consolidating for such a long period of time that it might not even be worth it, right? Uh, Honestly, with what I have invested in it, it's just like now it's getting to a point where it's just consolidating too much, where the $5,000 that I have in it, it's like, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth like the opportunity cost, right? Because it's not actively trending up. Okay. LABD just pulled back below 2880. So we did the right thing. We sold at the right price. Yes, I didn't sell at the peak. I should have sold at 2910 right as I saw that resistance. But, you know, what is it that I sold at? 2904 or 2905, I'm pretty sure. So missed out on a little bit, but, about $50. Dang it. That's like my week's fund for Canes. All right. So can I break down /SI? Yes, of course. I thought I had it here. You said because you're in DSLV, right? So looking at this overall pattern, so it's experiencing a pullback, but something that /SI has done very nicely is that when this thing pulls back, again, it's just making lower highs. It's not showing signs any of a break of pattern. So it's been doing this push, this upward staircase pattern. Does that make sense? Do you guys see that? Boom, boom, boom. This thing could still sell off a little bit more, I think, to about 1645. But let's check out DSLV. So DSLV is pushing up. I don't think it's going to last for a very long period of time. I personally think that close to this, even where it's at right now, it would make sense on why it would get rejected right around 2462 and then get rejected again. Yes, it can push to about $25, but I do think that USLV is showing a little bit signs of a stronger pattern as of right now, which is the inverse of DSLV, obviously, right? So this one's been showing more signs of this upward staircase pattern. Do you see this? So this one would almost make a better buy or a pending reversal. So I can add this one here to my pending reversal. So USLV, because it's not actively trending up as of right now. And then I can remove it off of this. So yes, it's DSLV that's pushing up today, but I don't think DSLV is going to last for a very long period of time. So no, I have not. So okay, we have the break above the EMA line. That's good, and watch out just for the resistance because this used to act as a support, and it's acting as a new resistance. So that's sweet. That's hilarious. Of course. So what do you think about LABD? Drop below 2820 by next week? I mean, I hope not. I really do hope that LABD can push above, like $29 and hold above that price point so it can start actively trending up. Because I want to trade it, but only when the pattern is there. No. pulling back. So let's see what happens here. That's sweet. Your losses from mistakes are not really a loss, but the cost of the lesson if you learn from each one. That's good. But it's still a difficult, seed to swallow when it comes down to that. So, and I do understand that. Wing pulling back a little bit, but still no break of pattern here. This one has a very consistent uptrend pattern. BNED pulling back a little bit, but again, still holding above the EMA line. Excuse me, guys. All right, guys. But that is it for today. I think we've been live for about, what is that, 50 minutes, almost an hour exactly. So, or 50 minutes exactly. All right, I'm just gonna do these last two breakdowns. I'm gonna break down ROKU for Masha, and then I'm gonna break down OPK for Ellie. That is it. So. And if I do remember correctly, yeah, Roku's showing signs of a strong descending pattern. Yes, it's pushing up today pretty aggressively. I don't think it's a good deal. Again, why? Forget about what it is that I think. Why is it that I don't think it's a good deal? Way overextended, huge influx of volume, showing some forms of manipulation, strong descending pattern, nothing that shows consistent growth. And if you want to invest in something that is actively trending up, then this just doesn't show signs of sustainability. So that's why I would stay away. It's way overbought right now. Not a good deal. It's showing some signs of manipulation. Yeah. Strong descending pattern, showing signs of a rejection once again. I know nothing about this company. I can see, I could see why it is that, you brought this one up, showing signs of a potential reversal. I don't even think that matters with this one. Yeah. And even then, it's still too soon to tell. Remember, 3 stages in a reversal: the rejection, consolidation, and confirmation. And right now, it's still in the rejection phase. It has not been consolidated. I don't think OPK is going to be a good investment anytime soon. Just my 2 cents. You do whatever it is that you want to, but yeah. So Ricky, can you briefly discuss what the potential downside is from holding LEBD? Again, if you're asking that question, then there's some obvious misunderstanding of you and the pattern that LEBD has to offer. If you're somewhat skeptical about it, just lock it in. Cut losses, cover profits, whatever it is, just lock it in. Get back in on Monday if you see value in it. That's simple. If you are having trouble seeing value, then just forget about it. Like, take a step back. Again, just lock it in, cut losses, cover profits, and then revisit this one. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Monday is Memorial Day, so we'll have to follow up on Tuesday. So we wouldn't be going live either on Monday either. But yeah, so as of right now, it is trying to hold above like this pattern. I find this pattern right now to be the most relevant to between the 5 minutes and the 15 minutes. So whatever it is that you see the most value in. I don't think that there's a break of pattern. But if you feel like, again, if you're just very anxious and you just don't feel comfortable with this position, then simply don't trade it. I think that's simple. Is it actively trending up right now on this 180-day EMA? So thinking about the 3 stages for a reversal, it's consolidating right now. It's not actively trending up. So with that being said, when it would be actively trading up would probably be when it breaks above $30. So right now, if you don't see value in it, don't stress it. Keep it simple. If you don't see value in it, don't stress it. And also the MACD indicator bar is showing signs of a downtrend. So there's some things showing that it might continue to descend from the current price point of where it's at right now. All right, guys. I'm sorry that I sound so raspy. I actually kind of like it. And also, I don't know if you guys, no, you guys probably didn't see, but I uploaded a video yesterday about my purchase for the new car and what it is that I plan to do with it and stuff like that. So feel free to check that out. I'm going to be going live right now for the YouTube channel in about maybe like 20 minutes, just recapping on my trades and then just talking about very simple concepts. But I want to thank you guys again for everything it is that you do. And, I feel like with what it is and how it is that our group has experienced such a high form of success is that we try to focus on quality. So for those that are tuning in for the first time, one of the best, best pieces of advice that I could have for you is first complete the entire course, learn everything that is that I've covered already. If you still have any questions or still, and along the way, be sure to, be testing the waters, right? With simulation training, with whatever it is that you are using to test out the waters. And you just know that you are going to make mistakes, but it's with 3 simple things. Learn how to manage risk quickly, understand when there's a break-up pattern or a pullback, right? Focus on quality patterns, and make sure that you ensure that you are always trying to get the best deal. And that is very simple. Ascending uptrend patterns, focusing on the best deals, and managing risk. There's obviously a lot more that goes into it, but with those 3 simple concepts, managing risk, know when to cut losses, or know when something is just pulling back. Focusing on quality patterns. Don't try to trade everything. Focus on something that, the opportunity cost shows to be worth it, and that it's showing signs of an uptrend pattern of continuous growth because you want to grow your account. And then the last thing is to focus on good deals, making sure that you understand that you're getting a good deal, which then you can later sell for a profit. So keep it simple, focus on the quality, and know how to manage risk. Hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your Friday. Hope you guys all have an amazing Memorial weekend. And that is it, guys. Continue working hard, continue following your dreams. Let your passion be what drives your success. And like always, guys, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.